Hi, welcome to PhysEd, brought to you by the Caregiver space. You know, we always hear, don't eat, and this is a big fallacy, is to change your everyday environment. In other words, you're going to move from Chicago or LA and that stressful lifestyle and move to a farm in Kansas, and now you've eliminated that stress, but now you've got new stress. So we can't get rid of stress, but what we can do is manage it. And I want to get into what are called stressors. Stressors are anything that triggers us to go and react differently. We might get mad, we might get angry, we might get depressed, we may smoke, we may drink, we may do drugs, we may overeat, whatever it does. So the key to managing your stress is to identify those stressors that are going to set you off. Back to those stressors, people tend to eat, and they like to have what we call comfort food. But that comfort food, in the form of anything that's high fat, high sugar, or highly processed, what the researchers have found at the University of California in San Francisco is that those women that had anxiety, high anxiety, and high chronic stress were more ill-fated than those that handled their stress better or did not have a perceived high stress level. So that's important to note, that everyone is going to react differently. In other words, what may be stressful to you may not be stressful to me, and vice versa. But we do know this, that the synergy of high chronic stress, and I'm assuming that even though they've only tested women, I'm assuming that's probably going to affect men in a similar manner. And so what you need to do is you need to create an environment so that when these stressors do come upon us and you do reach for something to eat, what is it that you're reaching for? So the first part of the solution is clean out your house of all real bad junk food, trans fats, high in sugar, even these low-cal, quote, low-cal and diet foods aren't necessarily better for you. And what you want to do is you want to get any type of ice cream or chocolate or things of that manner in small portions, but only a few, so that you kind of treat yourself. The other way that you can do that, as far as eliminating stress from your life every day, so that you're not combining that junk food with that anxiety stress, is to, my mom growing up always said, Edward, dessert is a treat, not a treatment. And try to remember that, is that it's okay to reward yourself, but did you work out that day? Exercise is the #1 mood enhancer in the world. So move, get outside. In other words, change your immediate environment, because you know that if you don't, you're going to break down and eat something bad. But if you only have good food around the house and in the cupboards, you can only eat good food. So that's important. Put a list together of foods that you like that are really bad for you, and find a healthy alternative for that food, and put it on a column on the left-hand side, and then the healthy food on the right-hand side. And fruit is one of the best things, of course, that we can eat. It also satisfies that sweet tooth. Not to say that sometimes we need a little comfort food here and there. However, the amount of comfort food, the frequency at which we eat that food, is going to determine your metabolic health. And we certainly don't want you to become more insulin resistant, which has been proven in this study with those people that eat foods and high fat, high sugar, and processed foods, with those that have chronic stress, as it is called. The other thing that you could do is start an activity to get yourself to the next level of getting into exercise. In other words, go out for a walk. Walking isn't fitness, but it's certainly better than sitting around. Get yourself a peddler, something that you can maybe move your legs underneath the table. I'm not doing it right now, but if I were, I'd put my feet up and I would be pedaling at the same time as perhaps you're watching this or your favorite TV show. So you need to come up with ways to outfox yourself, because you're going to break down and you're going to have stress and you're going to have situations where the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to reach for that yodel, or you're going to reach for those Fritos. And after a while, it's going to add up. Your cholesterol is going to go up, and of course, your stress level is going to get up. And here's the most damaging thing. that the study shows that those women and men, but specifically women that were tested in this study, pretty soon you're not going to be able to be healthy enough to take care of your loved ones, which means that you can't take care of yourself first. And of course, you have to protect yourself. You're the quarterback, because if you go down, who else is going to take care of that loved one? So a lot of things trigger that stress. Anger, you're not getting help, you don't feel appreciated. It doesn't really matter. What you need to figure out is, what are you going to do when, if you're in that situation where every time you feel high stress, high anxiety, that you're going to reach for something bad to eat? And by eliminating all the bad things in your house to eat, you can only make smart food choices. And then what you want to have is your little side dishes of ice cream or chocolate. But it's the amount you eat and how often you eat it that's going to do the damage. I like to keep this rule. I never treat myself to a drink or dessert unless I've earned it that day. In other words, how active was I? Did I work out that day? Because if I didn't, I'm going to eat just a normal meal, and I can't afford to take in those extra calories, even though I have a high metabolism, and I can burn fat faster than most people in a sitting state, called your metabolic rate. Your basal metabolic rate is which right now, if you were watching this, and we both ate a Snickers bar, I might gain a quarter pound, and you might gain a pound. Because I'm going to be burning up those calories a lot faster than you. Why? Because I exercise. And this is what people don't understand. It's not your diet that raises your basal metabolic rate. It is the intensity at which we exercise and that we heat up our body. If you had a perfect organic diet, you could not improve your basal metabolic rate by more than 5% for anyone across the board. Meaning that the other 95%, to ensure to raise your basal metabolic rate, only happens with proper exercise. So keep that in mind. So in review, we want to eliminate foods with high fat, high sugar, and foods that have a lot of fats, trans fats in it. We want to substitute that for healthier snacks, vegetables, fruits, fiber. Fiber is a wonderful food. You know, when I'm hungry and I know I'm going to overeat, what I'm going to do is, I know that I can't control myself from overeating. Most people can't. So what I do is I fill up on something with fiber, or I'll have an apple beforehand. Or if I'm thirsty and I know that I'm going out socially, I'm also going to drink a lot of water beforehand so that I feel full. And that way, after I have that drink, you know what? Or if I have a snack, I'm not going to eat everything in sight, because as good as you think your willpower is, you're not overweight, because remember, because you have good willpower. So you will lose. The way to win is to think ahead. All right, I'm not good in this situation. What can I do to counter that? And that's the key to managing your lifestyle. Everyone, coming up, what we're going to be doing in the next YouTube live stream is taking a look at a caretaker who's lost 50, 60 pounds, and someone who takes care of her elderly mom, and how it's affected her life, and the new energy that she has, and the ability to deal with stress. And believe me, her issues are your issues, and you'll join Patricia and I on the next PhysEd, and of course, brought to you by the Caregiver Space. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to educating you and hearing your story at any time.